Welcome to a VSA Capital video blog, and delighted today to have the Executive Chairman, Ian Tchacos, the Executive Chairman of ADX Energy, listed in Australia on the ASX, but operating very much on our back doorstep in Europe for oil and gas producer explorer, and in particular, obviously, Ian, you've very active in Austria, where you've had a lot of news recently. You're about to be very, very active. So maybe you just give us a quick talk through on that.
Yeah, certainly. We're an Australian company that's very focused on Europe. We do have other assets in Romania and also Italy, but Austria is our primary focus. And we really like it because we're only the third company to actually come into Austria in 75 years. It's been dominated by two gorillas, and now we're the small company coming in, and we've been able to pick up some production. We've been producing around 330 barrels a day, a combination of a field that we purchased in 2020, plus a recent discovery. We've got a large exploration portfolio that we're starting to drill out, and we've been successful with farm out. So we'll be drilling 3 or 4 wells, and they're predominantly funded by farm outs. So it means our shareholders get a pretty cheap look at some very exciting exploration. But look, Austria is a small country, but actually has produced quite a bit of oil and gas, over 1 billion barrels of oil and about 4 TCF of gas. But importantly, it's got a lot of infrastructure. So when we did a transaction in Austria, we not only purchased oil, we actually got a team on the ground, both operating and exploration team. We got access to 3D seismic over 3,500 square kilometres, and that's enabled us to come in, build a portfolio very quickly, and within a year of acquiring acreage, being able to drill our first well, which was a discovery, and now we've got another 3 or 4 wells that we're going to be looking to drill this year. Late last year, we were able to do a capital raising. We raised about 6.5 million. And as you say, we are in the UK's doorstep, and as a result, probably half of that money actually came out of the UK and Europe. So it's quite pleasing that people are starting to recognise that what we're doing in Europe could be meaningful. We're now in a position where we're going to be drilling a very large gas prospect. That's the Welchow gas prospect. We put about 800 BCF of resource potential in that. In the heart of Europe, we're only 18 kilometres from a pipeline. Gaffney Klein did an independent audit, and they came up with around 600 BCF. But a BCF of gas in Europe is worth about 14 million. So you can imagine it's a very valuable asset if it was to come in. We're also drilling 2 development wells on our Anchoff discovery. We've installed a permanent facility there, and we're hoping that we're going to ramp up our oil production from about 140 barrels a day to something over and above, say, 600 or 700 barrels a day. So, the next 12 months could be very transformational for us, not only in terms of production, but also exploration. One of the main if you like, farminees that we've had is a company called M&D. They're actually in the Czech Republic, but they've got assets all over Europe. They generated about 8 billion of revenue last year. So they're funding a large part of our next 2 Anchoff wells. They also have come into an exploration area where we'll actually be drilling some more exploration targets, which are close to infrastructure and could get us moving quite quickly.
I mean, Ian, what's interesting is a lot of this whole sort of rejuvenation, should we say, of interest in European oil and gas has very much been kicked off by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And suddenly people are looking for actually homegrown energy capability. I guess that, and obviously in the UK, we have quite a lot of UK onshore small oil and gas companies, but the market has always struggled with them slightly because of the sort of planning permission and just the general sort of move towards non-oil and gas energy requirements, I suppose. How do you see that in Europe? Because it does appear to be a bit different, and certainly Austria appears to be a bit different. I mean, you've really seemed to hit a bit of a sweet spot here. Can you just explain the difference maybe there and how you see the landscape in Europe?
Yeah, well, it's very different between the UK and Austria. I won't say it's the same everywhere in Europe, like Germany can be very clunky. In Austria, again, because there's really been two companies, one being OMV, the national oil company, the other one RAG, which was a consortium of Mobil and Shell. Certainly there's a very strong mining law, and I mean, we've managed to permit 2 wells to drill within 4 months. The longest has been Welchow, which has got up to 9 months. But if you compare that to, say, Australia, it's now about 24 months to licence to drill. And we certainly don't have any of the other issues like heritage and things like that you confront in many places. So we've got a very good licensing system, we've got very good access, and certainly when you're working within, if you like, the normal footprint of areas where there has been historical production and exploration, I would say you could permit to drill a well easily within 6 months.
That is very good, isn't it? I mean, that's clearly why you're being very successful over there, and it's slightly different, should we say, from the UK. It probably takes you 6 months just to put your paperwork in.
I mean, Antchop is an excellent example of that. We took the decision to drill that well in July 2021. We were drilling it by December. We had the discovery. We tested it in April, and we were producing by October. So, I mean, there's not many places other than, maybe Texas that you can do that. But the big difference here is that we really don't have any competition, because we've been able to get exclusive access to the seismic over an entire basin, which has enabled us to get a lot of running room.
So, I mean, you mentioned that you raised money fairly recently. That obviously was in Aussie dollars, I think, that money that you mentioned. Yeah. I mean, you have obviously a lot of Australian support. I believe you've got quite a lot of interest from farming partners and things which help, as you mentioned, some of it is Eastern Europe, some of it, I believe, is Canada. You said that a few UK shareholders are coming on board, which is great. Are you considering a dual listing on the UK or anything? Are you still too small for that, perhaps? I mean, what makes you've clearly got a good business plan. If you're successful, you could be quite an increase in the share price, but what will help you come more to Europe, I suppose? It's just quite strange in a way that this European growth business is being funded out of overseas countries, away from Europe.
No, you're absolutely correct, and obviously people tend to be parochial, so people understand more what's in their own backyard, and certainly it's part of our plan later on this year to look at a European or a UK listing, because obviously it's a lot easier for shareholders to be able to trade in their day, and we appreciate that really to take the business forward aggressively, a dual listing is going to make a lot of sense for us.
I mean, again, also, I'm not, by the way, making any suggestion at all, but there are quite a few small European players out there. You're all quite small. I mean, you're a market cap of Aussie dollars about 40 million, so that's what, 25 million sterling. In today's world, unfortunately, that's still quite small, and there's a lot of these small ones. I mean, is consolidation of interest to you in this industry?
Yeah, look, it is, but I mean, providing there are other companies with the right assets, I think consolidating for really doesn't make a lot of sense unless you've got some synergies. I guess we'd rather, if we have a really compelling development program or something like that, to raise the money and maintain the focus. I think what we see has changed a lot in the industry, again, because of the drive towards transition. There are a lot of small companies, but also there are a lot of companies who don't have a core team of people, can't generate their own opportunities, can't do farm outs. So really having production is really important for us. It's not as sexy as drilling big exploration wells, but it gives you that continuity where you can keep a team together and generate new opportunities. So look, we're not just looking at drilling 3 or 4 wells. We've actually found some new gas plays that weren't actually seen by the previous operators because they were just concentrating on production. And we see a lot of opportunity now, you know, with new processing techniques, new AI techniques for, if you like, quickly mapping areas. We're coming up with a lot of new things. So in a way, some of the other smaller companies that we see that are looking for opportunities to come into can also provide sources of capital for us. So we don't take all the risk and we can actually promote some of the work that we're doing.
It's quite interesting you mentioned AI there, because I think AI, you know, it's a big buzzword, but actually it really is starting to come into your industry, isn't it? Because it can analyse all this seismic data incredibly quickly and find things that frankly just weren't found before, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely correct. I mean, the amount of time it takes you to, if you like, see trends that, you know, would take 6 months to see, you can see in a week by, if you like, just having the right algorithms. And look, AI has been actually used for a long time. It's just now we're incorporating machine learning into it so that, as you say, you can repeat tasks that previously were done by humans that were taken much longer. But of course, ultimately at the end, you see the trends. Once you've seen the trends, then you can actually take advantage of those trends and hone in and detail it on certain areas.
Okay, finally, maybe just quickly, because it's unfortunately what drives share prices and therefore investor interest, how do you see your news flow developing in, say, the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, first cab off the rank will be the Welchow well, where we've took quite a while to get that environmental approval in place. That happened in December. We've built the location and we expect to mobilise a rig late this month, maybe first week of February, and then we'll be drilling straight after that. So that should get us results around, I'd say, mid to late March. That'll be a very interesting well. Then we'll move on to another drill location back on Anshoff, and we'll be looking to drill another well there. We're also installing a new production facility, so we'll get more production out of Anshoff. And then we're looking at drilling 2 wells in the second half of the year, another gas exploration well, and another, if you like, oil development well. So you'll see at least 2 exploration wells and 2 production wells. So a balance of, if you like, higher risk, higher reward, but also some lower risk cash flow producing assets.
No, that sounds like very good news flow. Look, I think that's really, for anybody who's watching this and it wants more information, there is a very good presentation actually up on your website that's pretty up to date, isn't it? I think it was put up in actually only a few days ago. So there is a very full presentation up on their website. If anybody wants more information, please contact us or do contact Ian directly at ADX Energy. And Ian, I'm sure we'll be talking again because there's good news flow coming out and there's actually really rather an exciting story here. So thank you very much for talking to us.
Pleasure, Andrew. Nice talking to you.